Hi, and welcome back to Grassroots Crypto, where I like to teach people about crypto. In this video, we're going to be talking about the outbound delay and Clout. So to quickly understand why I'm doing an individual video, I had done part 3 of the tool of THORChain, and it became a bit long and complex. So I wanted to, in part 3, give a bit of an overview and then allow individual videos to go into more detail instead of having all those details in a very long and complex part 3 video. That's not very approachable for new people to THORChain. So I'm going to be doing a video onto these subjects, like individual videos, and then part 3, it will just say, give an overview, and then it will point you to the individual videos for the more in-depth and longer explanation. So that's a bit of an update. And in this video, as I said, we're going through outbound delay and Clout. Within THORChain, there's a security feature called the outbound delay. And essentially that restricts or limits the outbound capacity of the network. And that stops basically all of the network liquidity leaving at once. It always has to be done in a controlled manner. So when we talk about outbound liquidity, we're kind of saying any liquidity that leaves the network. So if we're swapping, this would be the other side of a swap, that liquidity is leaving the network. If we're withdrawing our savings, we're taking liquidity from the network and returning it to the user. And if we're paying off our loan, obviously we're getting that collateral return, which is being withdrawn from the network. So that's all going to be subject to an outbound delay. And ensuring it's done orderly, and the outbound delay looks at not only what the outbound value is for the individual, but also the overall outbound of the network itself. This wait time is not ideal, particularly for people that have used THORChain a lot. Clout looks to address this, and Clout really it's not specific to swapping, because swapping happens in saving and lending as well. 2 swaps to enter savers, 2 swaps to exit, 4 to enter lending, 4 to exit lending. So for a person that's used THORChain a lot, they're gonna have paid a lot of slip fees. So fees in order to do the swapping, whether it's in swapping, saving or lending. From a security point of view, those users are less of a risk, or considered less of a risk, because they've already paid to use the THORChain service. So what Clout will do is look to reduce the outbound delay time for the people that have used THORChain quite a lot. However, it retains the same outbound delay time for people that haven't used THORChain at all. We'll get into the details a little bit, but that makes THORChain more usable, and it has the additional benefit by reducing the wait time for people that have used THORChain a lot because they've paid those fees before. Then that's essentially going to reduce what's known as the outbound queue for people like normal people that use THORChain, or people that haven't used THORChain as much. So how does Clout work? In order to understand Clout, we need to understand the outbound process a bit more. So when you have an inbound transaction, that's gonna be a swap, save or lend inbound for whatever, that gets processed, and then the outbound goes to like this protocol wide outbound funnel, and this is what funnels the network wide outbound liquidity. And like I said before, it not only looks at the outbound based off the inbound, so it could be like the outbound of a swap, it also takes into consideration of all of the liquidity exiting the network due to other activities like other swaps, other withdrawals, other events. If that funnel is full, or the outbound is going to be over 1,000 rune, then it is scheduled into a subsequent block, or a block into the future. And essentially it goes into a queue, just like a normal queue. You'll go to the back of the queue, and then that is scheduling to blocks into the future. When we're looking at our outbound, it will say that, well, if it's over 1,000 rune, then it's going to start scheduling into subsequent blocks. And the subsequent blocks might be filled, as in the outbound capacity, filled with other transactions. So you're essentially going to go to the back of the queue where there's capacity. So it looks forward up to 720 blocks and finds where there's the next room in the block to process that outbound. And that outbound then will be scheduled at that specific block. So it could be in 5 blocks time, it could be in 50 blocks time, 100 blocks time, so on and so forth. So as I said before, the outbound schedule looks at your individual outbound, so the outbound based off this inbound, as well as all the other outbounds inside of the network. And from a security point of view, that's sort of saying that, you could have one large outbound, or, a malicious actor could try and attack the network by having, many outbound transactions to pull lots of liquidity out of the network. And that's why the outbound scheduler looks at the total network-wide outbound liquidity and acts on it accordingly. The network-wide stuff is quite complex. There's quite a lot of network settings that control it. It'll be too complicated for this video. I'll put some information in the description below. I'll talk about it later where you can get more information. The outbound capacity of the network, or what can leave the network, is dependent on the rune price, because everything is priced in rune. And obviously, the higher the lower will depend on the outbound capacity in USD value. So bringing it back to Clout. Clout introduces what's known as a Clout score for a swapper. And remember, swapping can be from savings and lending, it's not just from swapping. That score goes up when a user pays swap fees for whatever reason. So if they paid, say, 50 rune in swap fees, then their Clout score is going to go up by 50. And that 50 can then be used to reduce the outbound value in the outbound process. So instead of, as an example, you might have an outbound that's valued at 50 rune, and if you've got a Clout score of 30, it's obviously going to reduce that Clout score thereabouts. We'll go through the specifics in a minute. And that would then reduce the wait time for that particular individual, or that particular trader. So therefore, they can get their outbound transaction potentially in an earlier block, or if their score is high enough, it can be processed immediately, because essentially the outbound value is considered to be 0 rune. Because they're not inside of the queue here, that makes more room essentially for normal traders that haven't used THORChain to get their outbound processed a bit quicker. So having a look at Clout, or probably a better name is like influence or power, or how much they've used the network, we can see the difference between, in blue, we've got the normal outbound delay. As you can see, a significant reduction in the outbound delay when Clout has been applied, much below that 1 hour limit. I've just got a bit of an example here so you can get a bit of an idea. So if a user's paid 50 rune in fees, these would be swap fees or slip fee, in 5,000 swaps. So they paid exactly 0.01 rune in each swap. So the next outbound size is 70 rune. That's what they're trying to process. The rune price in my example is $3.50. So their outbound value is 245 USD, or 70 rune. So whilst the outbound value is considered 70 rune, they'll have a delay as if the rune value was 20, thus reducing the outbound delay time and making more room for other outbounds, because obviously their outbound is processed a bit quicker. So that is Clout in a nutshell, and that increases the user experience and reduces the wait time overall for people that use THORChain a lot, as well as has an indirect consequence by reducing the wait time for people that don't use THORChain as much. For more information on Clout, you can review the development docs here, and it has the formula and how things work. You can have a look at the feature. This is the original write-up that was done for Clout, as well as some of the implementation details there. And we have if you want to look at the code, we have the actual MR that has all the code changes that were done. And then we have, lastly, a code walkthrough. That was the walkthrough for this particular change here, done by Chad, the developer. That's Clout, and you can see how that affects the outbound delay. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please hit the like button, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to see more videos like this, and see the future individual videos that I'll be doing, like on trade accounts, manual swaps, order books, and rapid swaps. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section below. I'll be putting all the links and stuff I've used in the description below as well. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye.